Today for us to start doing some standing and some fighting to back that
If a large population of black people were to actually get paid like large stimulus checks, like large amounts of money, would that change our or black people's ability to kind of fight against social justice issues? Would start looking at, black people as if we can't really like talk about different things that are going on in the community or in the world because we just got paid? Would that like buy our silence in a way if that happened?
I think it might. I mean, I think that for some African Americans, for one, like we've been impoverished, so like getting something like that is going to be necessary for our survival. So nobody's really caring about what everybody else is going to think. They're more so thinking about their own like survival. And so I think that's important. As far as like what everyone else thinks, like I was telling, talking to some of y'all earlier about this movie called Watchmen, right? And how it's exactly like that. Like you get reparations, and now everybody else looks at you differently, right? You have a different social standing, in America because you have money.
Right.
What is that really? Like even though folks were like, I don't like you guys because you got reparations. What did it do for the folks who got it? It helped to like take care of past injustices that happened. You know what I'm saying? And there are other groups that have gotten reparations. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like African Americans are the only group that have ever sought after reparations. The Japanese have sought after it when they were in internment camps in World War II. The Native Americans have
Right.
reparations, and they received it in the form of reservations. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I think that as black people, we got to stop thinking like something like that is a silly thing to talk about. Like, we don't want to talk about reparations. That's something that shouldn't be discussed. Nah. Like I wonder like what would Martin and Malcolm think about something like this?
I think when you ask a question like that, what Martin and Malcolm would think about this, you have to think that in their times it was a different struggle. Yeah. So like reparations and the applicability of it. Like you got to remember, they were fresh out of slavery, so they were the people who fresh out of slavery. Where do you get a job at? Right. And that's when the reparations were most needed, because that was the time when you could have took that money and built more black-owned businesses. Would have led to generations like trickle down to us, where we would have more knowledge and information, because in those times some stuff could have been built. Whereas now we're so lost in the matrix. It's like Nate, like just to bring it back to what Nate was asking, would we still have a voice as far as those situations go? When you talk about the other nations who have gotten reparations, I guess you'd have to look at their situations. Are their arguments still valid now that they got their reparations? And I don't know, because I don't know what their voices were like before they got their reparations. Because everybody you name, the Jews, the Indians, they're all pretty much quieted down to where I'm sure at a different time they're probably much louder. So I don't know. I would say look at like the past and see what history showed us as far as to make an assessment of that.
Yeah, that's a
great point, Jason. And I mean, honestly, you can't really deny that humanity is real. Like if you get a lot of money, you're gonna calm down. It's usually gonna make it easier for you to live life, make it easier for you to answer the questions that you come up with. And if we had it that easy, or if somebody got a large amount of money to where they didn't have to think about some of the things we have to struggle with now, would that like change our culture? Would that change the way we live?
Something that we're trying to attain. Like, I mean, like, don't we get tired of doing marches and folks being shot and killed? Wouldn't we like to have a certain social standing?
A goalpost. Yeah.
Right. Like where people look at us like, oh, okay, we can't do that because they have the money to hire attorneys and make our lives miserable, right? And so like, I think that would be, in a sense, a way to kind of answer some of these like time age questions and that black folks have had about our survival, in America.
Yeah, that's true. I think at this point it's not about revolution, it's more about evolution. And that's what I mean. That money would give that opportunity to create evolution, like as far as financially, like with a lump sum like that. But the next question is, what would people do with those reparations? And remember, a president almost won an election off stimulus checks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So imagine what and that was a little sum of money. Imagine a large sum of money. And what did most people do with their stimulus checks? I don't know many people that invested it into something else. I definitely turned my 1,200 into much more down the line because I think to invest everything. But is that a reality in our culture right now? I don't know.
Like somebody had said something, I think earlier about Dave Chappelle's show, right? And although it was very funny, there was some very serious elements that came out of it, right? Like there was the news reporter, he was talking about what happened when the people got reparations. He said that there were like 12 or 20,000 record labels started, this morning alone. That's serious. Like,
Right. That's substantial, right?
That's real. Like, what I'm saying? Like, you imagine like folks who are musical geniuses sitting in their basement working on their computers. If they got that money, what would that do to boost their career? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To help put them in places that they wouldn't be, right? To be able to create their own and then put their own families on and other folks on to build business. That's a business like boomer. So like, when you invest in a community, you get more out of that community. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
And wouldn't it allow you to kind of escape the community for some people who might decide that they wanted to like live internationally or travel or just blow their money worldwide, and live the fast way. You know what I'm saying? Some people might decide to do that. In the 60s and the 50s, I'm not sure how people had access to passports. And, honestly, when reparations was a conversation originally, I don't think that there was as much accessibility to life that they had. So like they didn't imagine like if you gave 100,000 or whatever 40 acres and a mule to that population, they literally could not have done anything except take that 40 acres and their mule and go farm it somewhere. If you gave somebody a sum of money right now, I'd actually be able to take it offshore, and the country would no longer receive a benefit from that money. So that might be a deterrent for them to even want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Big time.
Because at that point, then it's like I could take my money and go to highway. You know what I'm saying? And the money is gone. So like, it's kind of hard to kind of imagine them being able to do it now.
Boy, that bought that van full of cigarettes, right? And the Dave Chappelle.
Right.
Cigarettes for the rest of my life. So like, I mean, I get that, and you know what? That's true, and I feel like that's that person's right? Like there are a lot of white folks who have fucked off their family's fortune, like absolutely, like fucked it up. You know what I'm saying? And figured out some way to build from that. And I think that we as African Americans need to get an opportunity to either like be able to use that as a good opportunity, you know what I'm saying, or not. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, that's our right.
Right.
To it. That's our ancestors' like legacy. So.
Right, but you also got to consider whoever's giving the reparations. Are they gonna? How are they gonna move up? Because if we move up financially, they have to move up. They have to keep that bridge of income and wealth of separation. So what are they gonna do to increase their wealth? Are they gonna give out $3 trillion stimuluses to help their cause and move up?
They're not gonna make people richer than other people just because of that. That's true. That's true. I mean, you got to imagine what the ramifications of something like that would be in reality when it starts to actually be a conversation. Because if you a person that's been grinding hard and you a white person and you make $100,000, $200,000 a year and you got to pay your taxes, pay your bills and all of that, are you going to vote for a bill with somebody else, a black person from a community of people who don't work in your mind or whatever, and they don't, do anything? You can give them enough money to be richer than them, so.
Yeah, right. And what you said too about like when you compare money to 40 acres and a mule, the 40 acres and a mule concept was basically like you said earlier, so you can farm on your own land, so you can create sustainable living. But in order to do that, you would have to also teach farming and things like that. So there would be, like that's what I said. Where we're at right now is a whole different time base. Like when you talk about Martin and Malcolm's times, it was just a whole different environment. We're in the technology age right now. You know what I'm saying? We're so far from farming and agriculture, whereas back then they might have been a little more closer to it because they actually had to farm more and stuff like that. So now I see it being more like my opinion is I see a lot of Dave Chappelle candidates. I see a lot of Mike Tyson type situations, blowing 200 mil in a short period of time because of education, because
And
of information.
that's a part of the culture in hip hop right now too, right? So it's like,
Blowing
yo,
money
I think
fast.
Benz, I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
been it's for a while, but you know, like something like that could be detrimental, right? At the same time, you know, I think that we need the opportunity to say, okay, what are we going to do with this money? We need to
Right.
have those conversations, right? Like once we get this money, let's start our own businesses. Let's start like doing the things that we really wanted to do, right?